Radiation can be defined as the transmission of energy from a body in the form of wave or particle. This can be encompass anything from dangerous radiation created by a nuclear power plant to the harmless light created by flashlight. An antenna is a device for converting electromagnetic radiation in space into electrical current in conductors depending on whether it is being used for receiving or transmitting. Element of an radio frequency radiation system. Generator convert electrical power into a radiation using oscillator and magnetron. Transmission lines for high bandwidth communication and power transfer to conductor lines, coaxial cables, and waveguides. Antenna provide transitions from a guide EM wave on a transmission line to an EM wave propagating in a free space. As a transducer in matching the transmission line or waveguide to the surrounding medium.
This video is generally about the risk of using phones.
Are cell phones risky? Cell phones are everywhere. There are over 6 billion cell phone subscriptions worldwide, nearly one for every man, woman and child on the planet, and many people claim they can no longer live without them. But are they safe? Is it possible that something so near and dear to us could be risky? And if so, what kind of risk would it be? For starters, most cell phones these days use lithium-ion batteries. Then there's the non-ionizing radiation. Like other wireless electronic appliances, cell phones use high-frequency radio waves to do their thing. What makes cell phones different from other wireless appliances is that we have a habit of holding them next to our heads.
Characteristic antenna radiation. Antenna consists three properties. Gain is a parameter which measures the degree of directivity of the antenna radiation pattern. A high gain antenna will radiate most of its power, and while a low gain antenna will radiate over a wider angle. Next is effective area. Antenna contain three field regions. Firstly, reactive near field region. It is the region that surrounding the antenna where the reactive field is dominant. Secondly is radiating near field region. It refers to the field pattern that exits close to the antenna. The region that farthest away from the antenna where the field distribution. The third property is polarization. It consists of two types, that is linearly polarized and circularly polarized. For linearly polarized, it happens when a wave traveling varies up and down in time which the electric field always in one plane. For circularly polarized, it happens when waves spin out in a circularly path. Antenna have three types. Firstly, omnidirectional antenna. This antenna radiates and receives equally well in all horizontal directions and used to improve reception and transmission in certain type of terrain. Secondly is directional antenna. These antenna are mostly used in mobile cellular system to get higher gain and to minimize interference effect in the network. Next is loop antenna. This antenna is used as receiving antenna at low frequency.
Radioactive materials have a variety of important uses in medicine, industry, agriculture, and as well as in our homes. Radiopharmaceuticals is a drug that contain radioactive material that are important in diagnosis and treatment of many diseases. They can be injected into the body, inhaled or taken orally. Using X-rays, we can detect unseen problems in the body. For example, we can detect whether bones are broken or not. Radiation therapy can be helpful in treating and destroying tumors in the body. Radioactive materials also used in industrial radiography, civil engineering, materials analysis, measuring device, process control in factories, oil and mineral exploration, and checking oil and gas pipelines for leaks and weakness. These uses directly and indirectly influence our everyday lives. For example, measuring devices containing radioactive materials are used in tax dredging, from testing the moisture content of soils during road construction to measure the thickness of paper and plastics during manufacturing. Radioactive materials are even used in devices designed to detect explosives. In agriculture, radioactive materials are used to improve food crops, preserve food, and control insect pests. They are also used to measure soil moisture content, erosion rates, salinity, and the efficiency of fertilizer uptake in the soil. Lastly, most first aid kits found in our homes contains items sterilized by radiation, including cotton wools, bandage, and burn dressings. One of the most common uses of radioactive materials in our home is in the smoke detectors. Most of these life-saving devices contain tiny amounts of radioactive materials which make the detectors sensitive to smoke.
Disadvantages of antenna radiation to the human body. Okay, now this is a video about cell phone radiation.
Cell phone radiation. Some say it's harmless, others say, well, let's just say the internet has no shortage of hysterical medical theories. One way or the other, the FCC says that all cell phones sold in the United States must be tested for their specific absorption rate, or SAR. It's the rate at which radiation from the phone is absorbed into your body, and the maximum allowed by the FCC is 1.6 watts per kilogram of flesh. I'm Donald Bell, and in this top 5, I'll be counting down the cell phones that get the closest to that maximum legal radiation level.
Radiation absorption. Epidemiological studies indicate that exposure to RF fields is unlikely to lead to an increase in cancers in humans. Part of the radio waves emitted by a mobile telephone handset are absorbed by the body. Next, its thermal effect. One well-understood effect of microwave radiation is dielectric heating, in which any dielectric material such as living tissues is heated by rotation of polar molecules induced by the electromagnetic field. In the case of a person using a cell phone, most of the heating effect will occur at the surface of the head, causing its temperature to increase by a fraction of a degree. The brain blood circulation is capable of disposing as heat by increasing local blood flow. Radiation also contributes to the development of insomnia. It's been suggested that sleeping near a phone in a home with Wi-Fi or in an apartment building with many Wi-Fi signal can create chronic sleep problem, as a constant bombardment of Wi-Fi pollution interferes with falling asleep and sleep patterns. Lastly, it will affect cell growth. When a group of Danish 9th graders experience difficulty concentrating after sleeping with their cell phone by their head, they performed an experiment to test the effect of wireless Wi-Fi routers on plants. One set of plants was grown in a room free of wireless radiation. The other group grew next to two routers that released the same amount of radiation as a cell phone. The result? The plant nearest the radiation didn't grow.
The term radiofrequency radiation refers to the alternating current which, if fed to an antenna, generates electromagnetic fields. These fields are suitable for wireless communications, broadcasting, and other industrial, scientific, and medical applications. RFR is emitted from three basic elements of any wireless systems: generator, transmission path, and antenna. Antenna is a device that provides the transition from a guided EM wave on a transmission line to an EM wave propagating in free space. There are several useful applications of radio frequency for society, but there are also concerns about possible adverse health effects associated with human exposure to RFR emitted by various facilities and devices used in daily life. There are certain steps in formulating programs that will protect workers or the public and the utilities from being exposed to radio frequency energy above the allowable limits. The first and foremost is to survey any utility-owned or leased sites that have transmitters, heat sealers, induction units, or RF emitting devices to determine if RF hazards are present. Taking an inventory of all site hazards is the necessary first step in choosing the correct course of compliance action.